All right, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome in. Sharpening the Edge, Week 13. It's a very special Sharpening the Edge for a number of reasons. One, we're on the eve of Michigan-Ohio State. We are also on the eve of Brandon Justice moving on to greener pastures. And so this is, at least in an official capacity, his last appearance on the show that he named. I don't know, are we able to continue on? I mean, did you copyright this particular show? Should we have to go on to and call it something else?
I give you guys the grace going forward. It's a very good metaphor, so you're welcome.
It is. It's very nice. It's telling. You know, if I'm over there looking at thumbnails, and I'm like, ooh, sharpening the edge. I get it. Let's get in there. And the way you've been making picks all year long, you have lived up to the name Sharp. It's been impressive. And with that, if you're joining us for the first time, we pick Michigan State, the Lions every week, regardless of what's going on with the opponent there. We make the selection. We have a trio of games. We also hit a prop, a parlay, and a lock of the week. And with that, we'll jump right into it, and we will give the honors to Mr. Justice in his penultimate day as a member of the Michigan media. We have Michigan at Ohio State. I have the line at its very latest as Ohio State -8. Justice on the call.
Oh, yeah, I'm going to go a little bit weird on this one for the last one. Why not, right? No spread, no total on the game, but I am going on the first half total. It's at 28. It's in between 27.5, 28.5. If you can get it at 28.5, by all means, go ahead and buy that hook and get above that key number of 28 here. But I just see this first half going under. It just seems like a boxing match beginning to this game where both teams are kind of trading blows. It's going to go one of two ways. It's going to go the one way is Ohio State and Michigan's offenses, respectively, both crack out new things or things that maybe they planned and scripted out that work really well, like we've seen Michigan do. But to me, it just screams high-scoring first quarter, low-scoring second quarter. I think we've seen numerous times over the last few years both teams come out with well-executed opening drives and then things kind of settling in from there. And that's how I see this game going. And at 28 points, you're getting two extremely good defenses to face off against, yes, a very lauded offense in C.J. Stroud's led Ohio State offense, but Michigan's offense, as we know, has struggled. I think that continues in the first half against Ohio State. I think in the second half, we see a little bit of a different story from both offenses and defenses, and things may come a bit unglued in that fourth quarter as both teams are trying to, win the game, close the game out. But in that first half, I think we see a bit of a boxing match, testing out each other's form and where they're going to go schematically and seeing what each team is doing and then adjusting to it. So high scoring first quarter, low scoring second quarter. Same on this second half. I think we have like a nice modern third quarter and high scoring fourth quarter game flow wise. So I'll take the first half under 28 as my pick on Michigan this week.
All right. I'll make my pick kind of quick and get to Lucas. So when I look at this, I think Michigan's run game and then on the other side, being able to get to the quarterback are the most important things from a Michigan standpoint for victory. I just really don't like the status of the uncertainty with Michigan's MVP and then their biggest mismatch weapon in Donovan Edwards. And on the defensive side, it's not exactly like everybody's just sitting around waiting and thinking everybody's good to go health-wise. That's just with that uncertainty and where this game is being played, it's making me pick Ohio State 30-17. I say that. I don't like making the pick. I'm just giving you an honest selection. The good news is the last time that I picked Michigan to lose a game was last year against Ohio State. We all know how that one turned out. So, hopefully it's like that again. So I'll take OSU. I've got it 30-17. Let's go to Lucas with his selection.
Sure. So I'll give my little spiel on the game first before I give my actual betting recommendation here. When I was analyzing kind of a statistical profile for these teams and just kind of like going off of what my eyes have told me watching these two teams over the last several weeks. Last year, I think it was a bad matchup for Ohio State. That their front seven wasn't very good against the run. Obviously, Michigan did what they did and came out winning that game. And I think this year it's kind of a bad matchup for Michigan. because the strength of the Ohio State defense is the front seven. I think the weaknesses of this Buckeye defense to me are out wide at cornerback, and I haven't really seen enough from this Michigan passing game. JJ and Ronnie Bell, Andrew Anthony, Cornelius Johnson, those guys just haven't shown enough for me to believe that they can beat the Buckeyes through the air if it comes down to that. And then going off of what happened last week with Illinois, I think Illinois really provided the blueprint for how to successfully try and defend Michigan, which is basically just to load the box with that extra defender, put that 7th or 8th guy right at the line of scrimmage, and then just go man up on the outside. I would expect Ohio State to do the same thing here, especially if Corum and Edwards are banged up like we pretty much all believe that they will be. And then at the same time, I don't know, like, it sounds weird, but I don't think Ohio State's offense is as good as it was last year. Because last year, I think they had 3 first-round draft picks playing wide receiver for them, essentially, in Garrett Wilson, Chris Olave, Jackson Smith, and Jigba. It sounds like JSN isn't going to go. So this year, they really only have 1 first-round caliber wide receiver, in my opinion, Marvin Harrison Jr. So in theory, the passing attack should be easier to defend than it was last year. And it all comes down to kind of how Michigan can stop the run. Because if you can stop the run, force the offense to be one-dimensional for Ohio State, I think they can at least contain them enough to where they'll give themselves a shot to win this game. I think they will be able to have some success stopping Ohio State's running attack, given that Travion Henderson and both Mine Williams also a little banged up. But the issue for me and kind of how this game will break down is how much pressure can Michigan get on C.J. Stroud. People have talked about it. Stroud's a lot better when he has a clean pocket to throw from, as is every quarterback in America. Stroud, though, seems particularly iffy when he can get pressure on him. And I just haven't seen enough quality pass rushing in a one-on-one situations from the edge players from Michigan to believe they'll be able to get consistent pressure on Stroud. And if you're going to have to send blitzes, that's going to leave up one-on-one opportunities for those wide receivers, both in the slot and out wide. I don't think Michigan's be able to put pressure on him enough. I think if you give C.J. Stroud enough time, he will eventually carve you up. I'm thinking Ohio State wins like 31-23, 27-20, something in that range. So the spread seems good to me, but I do really like the under here, given all the injuries at running back for Michigan. And I think Ohio State's offense isn't quite as good as it was last year. So my official betting recommendation is under 56, but I'm thinking Ohio State wins the game as well.
All right, let's stay right there. And with Lucas, made a lot of nice points on the game, even if you didn't like hearing them. Let's go to Happy Valley. Try to get a smile on everyone's face. Michigan State is heading there, and the Nittany Lions are favored by a whopping 19 points. How do you see this one, Lucas?
Lamb with Penn State. Penn State's playing at home here. I think senior day for Sean Clifford provides a really good opportunity for him to go on a high note, playing against a really bad Michigan State secondary. And then on the other side of the ball, Penn State's defense is better against the pass. MSU has struggled to run the football all season, so I think that's kind of a bad matchup fit for MSU there. I don't expect them to be able to run the football particularly effective this week, just like they haven't really been able to all year. I think the Nittany Lions roll, and quietly they're just kind of killing everyone on the back corner, just kind of sneaking into the top 10 of the playoff rankings. I think they'll continue to roll and provide that quality win for either Michigan or Ohio State, whoever ends up winning, to sort of use that as a nice resume boost for the playoff.
I'll sandwich this pick again. Last week I went with Indiana and those points. I don't think Michigan State has a shot to win this game, but I do think they can keep it within 19. So I will take the 19 points and the Spartans as they try to see if at least they can salvage going to a bowl. Can they do that if they get a win? So they'll fight, I think, to the end. And they've been pretty good at getting some, even when they're getting killed in the fourth quarter, of getting some at least style points, or as I call them, backdoor cover points. I think that will be the recipe for them at State College. So I'll take MSU plus 19. That gets us to Mr. Justice with the call and kind of the tiebreaker, because Lucas is picking Penn State. I'm picking Michigan State.
Yeah, I'm on the points here. I'm on the under. I think the matchups that Lucas pointed out make a lot of sense here. I just don't see Michigan State really being able to move the ball. I don't think what they do really counters what Penn State can't do. So I think that's why the points have gotten out to as far as they've gotten. Obviously, home field advantage. Sean Clifford has a nice mismatch against Michigan State secondary. But really, I think the biggest determiner of this line right now is how much Michigan State's offense, which has really left it in games and continued to keep the team in games, won't be able to really answer the bell in this game, given the matchups. I just think what Penn State does perfectly counters what Michigan State does offensively. And on the flip side, if you're talking spread, yeah, Penn State matches up well against the Michigan defense too. 19 is just a bit too much for me. So I am going to go with the under. It's at 53, but now it's at 52.5. So it's moved here and there.
Okay. We got you on the under. Let's get a trio of picks from you. This has been one of your special spots in the selection of the games. You've done a nice job. So let's hear 3 games that are of interest of you, either college or pro.
Just continue to like Iowa. I mean, I know this game's in an hour, but it's before the show, so I'm going to say it counts. I got them at 10.5. I'm trying to see where they're at now, still at 10.5. And you got sharps on Iowa per usual. They're just a cover machine. They've been a cover machine as of late. They've been winning for us a lot. They're 4 straight wins against the spread for Iowa. 2-point dogs. Pick them against Wisconsin. 3.5-point dogs against Purdue, and 11.5-point favorites against Northwestern. Last time they didn't cover was as 30.5-point dogs against Ohio State. And we all know how that happened there in the end. Things kind of came unglued. But Iowa's just playing good ball. They're 7-4. This game, everything is on the line for them. Nebraska, 3-8, interim head coach. I get they're going to play inspired, but Iowa is at home. They have been coached by the same guy for forever, and he knows exactly how to handle situations like this. A win, and they win the Big Ten West in an improbable year where they were pretty much counted off, like in week 3 and 4. Just seems like a surefire thing for Ferentz to come in and win this game and cover a 10.5-point spread against a Nebraska team that Iowa can manhandle in the trenches. And I think Spencer Petras is playing better football than McCarthy right now, statistically speaking, for those who want to keep track of that. And I just think that's what Iowa's going to do. It just seems like a big mismatch for them, especially in the physicality game, which is where they dominate. So I will take Iowa 10.5. And then go to South Carolina and Clemson. They're playing tomorrow at noon. The total is set at 53, and I guess I kind of gave that away. I'm on the over. Let me see. I bought it at 52. It's up to 53 now. So today, a 1-point swing there. The Sharps are on the over in this one as well. It's a little scary because when I took it, it was at like 86, 84% of money. It's up to 91% of money now. So I kind of hate being on lines that have that much money, especially with 82% of bets. But I mean, we saw what Rattler did last week. We know that Clemson is not the Clemson of Clemson's past. Look, South Carolina is not just like coming off a big win type of hangover game. Like, they have something to play for here. They're 7-4. They can get to 8-4. First year head coach. Is he first year? Is he second year head coach? Second year head coach. This is a program defining ending of a season for him. If he can end the season with wins over Tennessee and Clemson. And South Carolina, they don't have the same mismatch they had last week, right? Like, Tennessee secondary is putrid. Don't get me wrong. I don't expect this game to end with Rattler having 5 touchdowns. But South Carolina's defense isn't that good either. So, even though Clemson's defense is far better than Tennessee's, I do think we see enough to cover that 53 mark. Again, like, highly recommend buying the hook if you can. But if you can't, go ahead and buy it at 53. And lastly, I love this one. It is Buffalo and Kent State. The projections have Buffalo out to like 8.5, 9-point favorites in this game. I bought them at 4. They're already out of 5, so they've already had a 1-point swing here on Friday, from Thursday to Friday. Buffalo just continues to play really good ball. If anyone pays attention to Michigan, Mo Linguist was the defense coordinator for about 30 minutes and then went to Buffalo to be the head coach. They haven't covered in their last 2, but the 3 prior to that they did, covering a 17.5-point dogs against Toledo, 17-point favorites against UMass, and 2-point favorites against Bowling Green. The only time they really got things flipped on their head was against Ohio, where they were 2-point favorites and lost by 21. But Buffalo runs a really controlled pace. They like to run the ball a lot of ground game, a lot of possession. Against a 4-7 Kent State team that's 1-4 against the spread in their last 5, just seems like a game that Buffalo is going to roll through and continue to roll on. So that's my third one. And I do have, if you guys care to hear, a bonus one this week.
Oh, yeah. A bonus one? Yeah.
It's still going to be a best bet, but I figured four to, good way to go out. Air Force is projecting as like 9.5-point favorites, right around there. And that's on a neutral field. And you can grab them right now at 1.5 against San Diego State. And I love military academies. I love betting on military academies, especially when there's a 1.5-point line. I mean, you're in a lot of good position there. 1.5-point favorites. They are on the road at San Diego State, who is 7-4, and there is a lot to play for. The Mountain West is on the line in this game. So I understand that. I understand the home field advantage, which is why San Diego State is getting 1.5 rather than getting 4, 5, 6, whatever it is. So I still think there's value, though. I mean, look, at the end of the day, the big money is 85% on Air Force, 68% of the bets are on Air Force. There's a lot of signs pointing one way more than the other. And there's also the projections, which is what I've just been loving projections this year. They've been very kind to me. So I'm going to stick with those here with a lot of value in Air Force, who is 8-3 and playing for not only a 9-3 season, but a conference championship too against San Diego State.
It's hard to argue with your success. Let's go to Lucus Reimink with his trio of selections.
Sure. So no disagreement so far between me and Justice, which doesn't happen very often. But well, so we're ending on a nice note, I guess, here. So anyways, I'll start with Wisconsin, -3 against Minnesota. I've been betting against Minnesota the last few weeks now. Last week I bet against them against Iowa. They lost the game outright, even though they were favored. They continue to really struggle, especially offensively. They have Tanner Morgan, obviously, has been hurt for quite a while now. They have a backup quarterback whose name is really hard to pronounce, but he's not been good. He's got a little mobility to him, can't really throw the ball particularly well down the field. I think Wisconsin's defense being really good in the front seven is going to be very challenging for them to consistently move the football against Wisconsin. And I think Wisconsin's also been playing very motivated football. Jim Leonard there taking over as the interim head coach the last few weeks. I think the Badgers offense field has turned out enough yards against this Minnesota defense to eventually pull off what I think would be roughly like a 7-point win and a bit of a rivalry game there. And then we talked about, Justice was talking about South Carolina-Tennessee game a little bit last week. I'm going to sort of have a play on an aspect of that as well. I'm going to take Vanderbilt +14 at home against Tennessee. So Vanderbilt's been playing pretty well lately. 2 straight SEC wins for the Commodores, which nobody has really seen coming. Tennessee's obviously had the shocking loss to South Carolina last week. They lost by 25, even though they're big favorites. And that wasn't even the worst part of the game. If you're a Tennessee fan, Hendon Hooker tore his ACL in that game, out for the year. So that means it's Joe Milton time in Knoxville. And as someone who worked for the team in the 2019-2020 seasons, I've seen a lot of Joe Milton, both in practice and in games. And he's still the exact same guy that I saw at Michigan. Got that cannon for an arm, but really doesn't know where it's going. With the inconsistent play that I'm thinking they're going to get at quarterback, combined with like the emotional letdown spot following the disappointing loss last week, I think Vandy can keep it within 2 scores here. Might even have an outside chance at an upset if Joe Milton throws the Commodores the ball a couple times. So I'll take the 14 there happily. And then a fun one, I'm going to go Wake Forest Duke over 66.5. Wake is kind of built for overs, and I think Duke sort of feeds into that as well. Wake's really got an offense. Sam Hartman has got a bunch of good receivers to throw the ball to. And then they're also really bad on defense. So to win this game, I think Wake knows they're going to be able to have to keep scoring because they know they're going to give up a bunch of points probably as well. Duke really isn't that bad on offense this year. They got a mobile quarterback who can chuck it a little bit. And against the soft Wake Forest defense, I think he'll have a bunch of success as well. I'm thinking something like a 41-38 Wake Forest win here. So I will take the over 66.5 as my third play here.
Over 66.5. Let's see if I got all those right. I think I do. All right. Nice selections. I'll put those up on the screen for everybody. They can make them right. Wisconsin, Vandy +14 to Wake Forest and Duke. The over 66.5. I'll give you my picks. I like South Carolina plus the 14.5. I think they can keep it close at Clemson, at least maybe even single digits there. I was looking at the Florida State game, and I was thinking, Florida, even though they lost to Vandy, I liked Richardson throwing the ball, and he had a nice game. And then I started looking at the numbers. Florida really struggles to stop the run. Meanwhile, Florida State is really good running the ball. This is a gigantic mismatch. This one is going to be over quick. I'll take the Seminoles. I'll lay the 10 points, and I'm going to go against Justice. I feel like flipping it, but this is what I made. I'm going to take Nebraska, and that was 10.5 points at Iowa. Iowa just doesn't score. I think they're going to win the game, but you've watched Iowa. They win a lot of games, 13-10, 7-6. I could see a 20-10 score over Nebraska, and I'm getting 10.5. So I'll take the Cornhuskers plus 10.5. I'm going to go right into my prop as we give props, parlays, and picks of the week. That's what we have left. My prop, I'm going to the Michigan-Ohio State game. Ronnie Bell over receiving yards 52.5. I don't think Michigan, they're going to have to throw the ball. J.J. McCarthy's number one target, Ronnie Bell. I think he will go over the 52.5. That is my prop. Let's go right back to Lucus Reimink for his prop of the week.
Sure, sticking to the same game. I'm going to go J.J. McCarthy over 14.5 rushing yards. To me, it seems like a spot where the coaches are going to have to cut him loose a little bit, especially with Edwards and Corn possibly being banged up. I think his legs are a big aspect of trying to keep the Buckeye defense off balance, that front seven, given those defensive edges. Just a little something to think about on those run handoffs, those reads. I think he'll might even have like a couple design runs in this one. So sacks do count negatively in college football against rushing yards, so that is something here to notice. But I think JJ will have at least 1 or 2 carries go over 10 yards, so I'm comfortable taking the over 14.5 rushing yards there as my prop.
Not bad. I like that one, and you'll see why coming up. Brandon Justice with his prop of the week.
Mine is also J.J. McCarthy's rush yards. I had it at 13. I don't know where you can get it at 13 right now, but it's showing you can. Can't see which book. I think it's Westgate. Yeah, so Westgate, I think you can get 13. So if anyone out there is interested, it's same thing with as Lucas said. Not only that, but also Michigan without Blake Corum, potentially without Donovan Edwards, and even if they both play, they're going to be less than 100%, which I know everybody is, but they're going to be even less than like your best 100% at this stage of the season, as we know. So I just think they're going to, and Acuna is, of course, has to on his last episode make his appearance. I just think this is a game where they're going to have to let J.J. McCarthy do things with his legs. When's the last time Michigan played a rivalry game and they got pushed a bit offensively in the beginning? It was Michigan State. And what happened? I mean, J.J. McCarthy's legs kept them alive in certain drives in that game. And I think that we'll see something similar to that this week against Ohio State. In a win or losing effort, either way, I think he's going to have to use his legs to get loose. And he hasn't done that almost at all since that Michigan State game. So I think maybe that is a sneaky, helpy thing for them. A sneaky thing that'll help them because he hasn't really shown much on film with the zone read keeps at all over the last few weeks. So maybe they first couple of plays scripted, they come out and he pops off 10, 12 yarder. All of a sudden you're sitting in plus territory pretty easily. You don't need that big of a run to sit in plus territory for this bet. You need Michigan to protect him well enough, and you need him to be able to escape and evade, which he's shown an ability to do throughout the year.
I like it. You guys, it's 11.5, the rushing yards on DraftKings for anybody that's interested right now. There you go. Tell them I sent you. All right, let's go right back to you, Justice, for your parlay of the week.
Well, my phone decided to just die. That's where all my bets are. And I had Air Force money line, Louisville money line, and forgot my third leg. I'm sitting here looking at it and I forgot my third leg. It was Air Force money line. Just because you're getting a pretty decent line there as favorites. I think they're at like minus 140 at the 1.5 mark. And then I was on the money line for Louisville against Kentucky because, again, they're 3.5, 4, and they're getting a ton of action. So that's really just been the system all year with these parlays. And then my last leg, if I can find it before Acuna can relax with his worrisome slide. We'll just go with 2 legs. Why not? Hey, just sprinkle on Air Force and Kentucky because I can't find this third leg. While Lucas is giving his, I'll try and find it. But my parlay was nearly completed, and then my phone died.
All right, Lucas, he hands it right off to you.
Sure, sounds good. I got a 4-team college football money line parlay. I've got Arizona beating Arizona State, rivalry game there. Jed Fish really got that offense playing well. Jaden Deloria came over from Washington State. He's been playing well at quarterback there. I think they can get it done against Arizona State just to win. Don't know that it's going to be pretty. The defense is pretty bad, but Arizona State's been a bit of a mess all year. So I think the Wildcats can get it done there. I got UCLA going on the road beating Cal. I didn't love the 10 points just because it's a bit of a letdown spot following like a tough loss against USC, so I don't necessarily trust the cover. But I do think they'll win. Cal just doesn't have enough offensively to keep up with UCLA. I think it could be sort of a lower scoring game, but I still think UCLA is going to be able to pull that out behind that strong rushing attack with Zach Charbonnet. I got Florida State beating Florida. I don't like Florida's defense at all. I'll talk about that a little bit when I get to the lock, but I think they're going to be able to win that game pretty comfortably as well. So I'll take them and throw them in a parlay here. And then I got TCU just has to win against Iowa State. Iowa State, their record isn't good. They're sort of Iowa-ish. They're sort of like the Iowa of the Big 12. They play a lot of low-scoring games, keep a lot of teams contained for a lot of times, but they really don't pull out that many wins. So I don't really want to touch the spread, but I do think TCU's got enough offensive weapons and firepower to be able to get the win against Iowa State there. So Arizona, UCLA, Florida State, TCU, that's plus 206. So I like the odds there.
Plus 206. Yeah. Speaking of firepower, my lock of the week is I've won 4 in a row. So I've got some firepower behind that. But first, I'm going to give you my parlay of the week, and I'm going to the Michigan game. It's the same game parlay, under 56.5 for the game. And I think JJ McCarthy, he might connect on a downfield pass or two. I think he's going to throw a lot more than he usually does, because of how this game at least looks heading into it. Kind of hope I lose this parlay, but I think that JJ is going to go over 200 yards. It plus 475, which is a big fat number, and you only have to put two sides of this, under 56.5, JJ over 200 yards. That's my parlay. And my lock of the week, I'm going to that TCU Iowa State game. I think TCU, you look at all their games, they're all close. They're winning by a field goal, winning by 1 point like last week. I think Iowa State is going to lose, but I think they'll keep it within single digits. I'll take those 10 points for my lock of the week. And let's go right back to Lucas, who I think is going to that rivalry game in the Sunshine State.
Yep, I got Florida State minus 10, just like Dennis was talking about earlier. Florida's coming off that bad loss to Vandy. Even though Anthony Richardson threw for 400 yards, they still lost the game. So I think that tells you something about sort of the Florida defense. FSU is playing about as well as anyone in the country right now, really, if you're paying close attention to them. I think Florida State's, like you mentioned as well, Florida State's really good at running the football. Florida is very, very thin on the defensive line depth. So once they started to get in that third and fourth quarter, they've been running on that Florida D line. I think they're going to get into that depth and have a lot of success on the ground. The game's also at home for Florida State, so I think the Seminoles roll, win by at least 14 points. So the Noles are my lock.
Seminoles roll. I like it. So Brandon Justice and his final lock of eternity. That sounds weird.
The third leg was Texas Tech money line, by the way. So it's Texas Tech money line, Air Force money line, and Louisville money line. And same system with Texas Tech. They're 2.5-point dogs at home, and they're getting a ton of action. So rolling with them. My best bet of the week is the Jets and the Bears over 38.5 in the NFL. Obviously, Justin Fields is out. So is Zach Wilson. Mike White is going to play for the Jets. And who is Luke? The Bears quarterback is? It's going to be somebody. It's Simeon. Trevor Simeon.
Yeah. That's right.
Trevor Simeon, whenever he played last year for Denver, when he came in, he threw the ball well. Like he wasn't that bad. Like the receivers got better with him in, as opposed to like a Drew Lock who was before him, right, with Denver. So I was listening to some analysis on this game and heard a stat basically that him versus Justin Fields, he was averaging twice as many touchdowns passes per game. Obviously in a small sample size and data sample, but all the same, I just imagine that Trevor Simeon is getting a little bit undervalued, which sounds silly, but he should be able to throw the ball well. I know the Jets defense has Sauce Gardner, and they're extremely good in their back end. But I think that we'll see him throw the ball good enough. And I think the same thing for Mike White and the Jets, or Flacco and the Jets, whoever they end up going with in the middle of that game. I think they'll have success too. And here's the thing. The last 5 Jets games have gone under, but the last 5 Bears games have gone over. So something's got to give here. And at 38.5, I have no problem throwing in the middle and seeing what happens with a low total, because all you need is a couple of big plays in the first half and you're in a good spot. If this game stays close till the end, you're going to see 2 teams, dogging it out. And I think this is a game of 2 teams that really need a win, like badly, like really, like both teams desperately need a win. The Bears are doing good things, but they keep coming up short. The Jets are doing tremendous things defensively, but can't muster anything offensively. But at 38.5, I just think you're getting way too low points-wise there. So I will take the over.
Justice, little known fact, outside of New York and Chicago, the over and under on people watching the game is also 38.5. So, we'll see what happens. Points or people watching the game. All right, guys, great job. It's a fabulous weekend. Hope everybody had a great day yesterday, and have a great day tomorrow. Justice, it's been a lot of fun working with you. All the best in your future endeavors. We are confident that you'll be a big success.
I appreciate that. It's been a lot of fun. I appreciate you 2 doing the show with me and taking on the idea about doing this show. And I thought it was a lot of fun, and I hope it keeps going. And if you guys ever need me to come on and I'm not doing anything at 2:45, I'll hop on. It's been a blast, and I've had a lot of fun learning from you guys and having fun with you guys every week and with everybody in the comments. So appreciate everyone watching. Appreciate you guys doing it with me, and it means a lot. Looking forward to still keeping in touch and networking as we go on.
Awesome. Good luck. And we're betting on your success. And we're taking your picks.